have one of these?
No,
Do you need one of these?
sure.
There you go. Yeah. But it's $100 if you want to. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Welcome to Temple B'nai Israel. All of us who are here in person and all of us who are joining us on the stream, we say Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
It's really wonderful that we can gather here this evening, not only to celebrate Shabbat, but Independence Day Shabbat, red, white, and blue Shabbat. It's a nice moment to be together to celebrate our country as well. And it's also going to be a time for us to celebrate our simchas, our birthdays and anniversaries as well together. It's a promise to be a really lovely evening. Let's turn and greet each other with a Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. I will say, Shabbat Shalom. I will say, for those of us who are here gathered in the sanctuary, we are well aware that it's a little bit toasty in here, and we are currently working on getting the AC fixed. If it's this warm in another 5-10 minutes of taking off the jacket, I hope you don't mind. All of you at home in the AC? You got it, you're fine, you don't have to worry. Yeah, send us a little air. With all of that said, page 128, as we continue with Hine Matov.
הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, יאללה לי לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, יאללה לי לה 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 לה. Yalla lai lai lai, yalla la la lai, yalla lai lai lai, yalla la la lai, yalla lai lai lai, la 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 lai, yalla lai lai la 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 lai. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad.
And we're going to continue on the same page. Actually, it's the very next song, Ma Yafeh Hayom.
Ma yafeh hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma yafeh hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. One more time. Ma yafeh hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma yafeh hayom, Shabbat Shalom.
Let's turn back in our prayer book to pages 120 and 121. Kabbalat Panim. We welcome Shabbat with the lighting of candles. We call it to come forward Melissa and Tyler Brom for candles and Kiddush. rise together.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu, v'habit mir shel Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu, להדליק נר של שבת.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Borei pri hagafim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratavanu, v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila lemikrahe kodesh, zecher letziat mitzrayim. Kivanu v'acharta v'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha b'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mikadesh HaShabbat.
Amen. L'chaim. It is grape juice. I hope. Let's take our seats. We're on page 124 as we're going to pray responsively in the English. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. Together, may it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture. May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. May the synagogue be, for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life. We turn now to page 138 and 139 of the singing of the Chadodi. We'll be singing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. And on the final verse, we'll rise together and face the door as we symbolically greet the Sabbath bride.
Lecha lecha dodi, likrat kala, penei penei Shabbat v'Kabbalah. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat kala, penei penei Shabbat v'Kabbalah. La 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 la. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, penei penei Shabbat v'Kabbalah. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat kala, penei penei Shabbat v'Kabbalah. Shamor v'zachor v'dibor echad, yishmi'anu el ha'meyuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad, v'shemo tiferet v'letihila. La 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 lecha lecha dodi, likrat kala, penei penei Shabbat v'Kabbalah. לך לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם ניסוחה. סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה, לה 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 לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה, לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
Let's remain standing as we turn to page 146 for the Baruch Hu, our call to worship.
Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Let's take our seats. We're on page 148 as we continue together into the Hebrew. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chokhmah poteach she'arim, uvitvuna mishane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Uma'avir yom u'mevi layla, uma'avdil ben yom u'vein layla, Adonai tzavaot shemo. El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. On page 151, at the top of the page, let's continue together. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Let's rise together for the Shema.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Please be seated. Let's continue on the bottom of page 100. Let's continue on page 154 with Vivi Hafta.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
On page 157, let's continue together at the top of the page. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. On the next page, Mi Chamocha, Song of Our Freedom.
Ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Mi chamoch ba'elim Adonai, mi chamoch ne'eta b'kodesh, noratehi norosevele, noratehi norosevele. מלאכותך ראו בניך, פורקי הימים ומשה ומרים, זה אלי אנו ואמרו, זה אלי אנו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. Ya la la ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la.
Let's turn to page 162 as we join together with Yismechu. Gotta change it up once in a while for you.
ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת, וקורא עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת, וקורא עונג שבת. מקדשי שבי שבת, כולם יספרו ויתענגו מטובך שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת, וקורא עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת, וקורא עונג שבת. השביעי רצית בו וקידשתו שבת, חמדת ימים אותו קראת שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת, וקורא עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת, וקורא עונג שבת. זכר למעשה וראשית שבת, זכר למעשה וראשית שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת, וקורא עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת, וקורא עונג שבת. I love that.
Yeah, you see? Very nice. On page 165, on the bottom of the page, in an envelope marked personal, God addressed me a letter. In an envelope marked personal, I have given my answer. Let's rise together for the Amidah HaTefillah. We're on page 164, continuing in the Hebrew through page 170.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei HaKol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'mevi Geula Livnei v'Nehem, L'ma'an Shemo B'Yahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen, Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei HaKol atah, Rav le'Hoshia, Morit hatal. Mechayel Chayim bechesed, Mechayei HaKol b'rachamim rabim, Somech nofalim v'rofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato lishanei afar, Michamocha ta'al givurot, Umidom elach מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, הנאמן אתה להחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלע, ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. We're on page 173. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day, and may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat. On page 175, at the top of the page. Ever-present one, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer. Wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands, you are our God, whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha be'ira na'avod. On page 177. Let's continue together at the top of the page. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lehodot. On page 178, a prayer for peace, Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav, O Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, O Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech Adon, v'chol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech Adon, v'chol hashalom. Shalom Rav, HaYisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, HaYisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. V'tov b'einecha livarech et amcha Yisrael. בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך, תשים Tasim leolam, tasim leolam.
As we have prayed for peace, which is the healing of the world, we're now going to continue with a prayer for the healing of our bodies, of our souls, of our spirits. We're going to turn to page 371. as our thoughts turn to all of those in our community, our loved ones who are in need of healing. Let's join together, Misha Berach.
מקור הברכה לאמותינו. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen.
We are thinking of at this time Pat Adamson, Eric Adler, Raymond Douglas Alcorn, Barbara Bachman, Marty Bilo, Evan Bin, John Conway, Ann Cole, Richard Corwin, Mark Edelstein, Mickey Edelstein, Benjamin Edelstein, and Brian Edelstein, Danielle Heyman Feist, Eric Fisk, Sam Friedman, Bob Gold, Jennifer Gousset, Barbara Green and Buddy Green, Marvin Hollander, Stuart J., Lori Cattleman, Hank Corin, Wendy Sugarman Krosnoff, Dr. Sonia Linke, Michael Lynch, Madeline Leone, Elsa Mikosh, Dolores Munsick, Ruth Poehler, Lee Siegel, Dr. Cindy Steinman, Pete Tanner, Fred Truax, and Michael Verub. Did they mention the name of a loved one, someone you're thinking of this time of healing? Please speak their name as my eyes meet yours.
Doris Kirshner, Philip Gelman.
We take these names, all those mentioned at home and in our hearts, as we say,
מי שברך אמותינו, מקור הברכה לאבותינו. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
we now continue with a moment of silent prayer and inward reflection. We're now going to continue by celebrating our simchas, celebrating all of our birthdays and anniversaries that are coming up in this month of July. It is July 1, so we're just getting started. So anyone celebrating a birthday this month can please come forward to the bima. All of our July birthdays. Come right up here. Almost forgot the pens. There we go. Okay. Are you ready for the blessing here? We're solving for worship. Yeah, it's like, yeah. God of our days and years, author of life, our times are in your hand. We thank you for the blessing of life and for all that enriches our lives. We gather today in special thankfulness to share in the happiness of our friends celebrating a birthday this month. Be with them always as the joy of their life. May they be blessed with health, with happiness, and with the strength to overcome sickness and sorrow. May we have the joy of coming together for many, many more years to come, united by mutual reverence and love. Then will our lives be filled with an abundance of blessing. As together we say, Amen.
Amen. Everybody. Yom Huledet Sameach. Yom Huledet Sameach. Yom Huledet Sameach. Yom Huledet Sameach. Sorry, I went rogue.
Same birthday. Very nice. So happy birthday, all.
Happy birthday.
These pens are going to be a collector's item. Once they're gone, they're gone. We're getting Frisbees next. Very appropriate for this community. Anniversaries. Any July anniversaries? July anniversaries going once, going twice. It's my anniversary at the end of the month. Yay! We'll be married 19 years.
Wow.
So I gotta say, in this community, that's low, you know? I think the last one we had, someone 60 plus years. Yeah, we had some folks. I will say, though they aren't here and I think they're watching at home, it is Hank Corin's birthday today, and it is their anniversary, their 50th anniversary, Hank and Donna, next week. And I think they're watching at home on the stream, so mazel tov to Hank and Donna. Wonderful. July 1st is a very interesting day, just as a side note, in the rabbinical community, because for rabbis, our pulpits, our contracts usually start with the community July 1. And so today is a day of transition. So today actually marks year 16 for me. We're starting on day 1 of year 16 in the rabbinate and year 4 here. And so it's this interesting thing when I think about times of transition. And I'll also mention that this week's Torah portion, which I'm going to touch on briefly, is Parshat Korach, and that was my bar mitzvah portion all those years ago. I don't remember it, so to be fair. I just remember I got like the least fun part of the story. Because back in, and I'm not sure how many of you relate to this during your bar mitzvahs, is that it was traditional in conservative synagogues in particular for a bar mitzvah to give the child the maftir, it's called. It's the last part of the Torah portion, right? It's the last like 3 verses. And then to read the entire haftarah. There's a lot of haftarah, a lot of Samuel. So the last 3 verses of Korach tell you nothing about Korach. It's not about it. It's about the end of, it's the end of the portion. It's talk about like agricultural things. It doesn't talk about the actual story. And the story, of course, is fascinating. That's why it's named after Korach. Does anyone know who Korach was? Korach was a rebel, right? And so we remember we're in the book of Numbers. Everyone, like now, is hot and sweaty. They're wandering through the wilderness. It's unpleasant. It's like time to get cranky. And Korach was a little cranky. He goes to Moses and says, hey, who are you to lead these people? Who picked you? Sidebar, God. But Korach didn't really think this all the way through, and he sort of goes into a little bit of a rant towards Moses, saying, oh, you've taken this position of power for yourself, and you're not the boss of me. Like, I want to have more power, more control. I should be in charge. You've taken too much upon yourself, sort of implying some corruption, implying some malfeasance on Moses' part. Moses, of course, turns to God and sort of also rebukes Korach, saying, hey, wait a minute, Korach. It's not like you're some hoi polloi in the Israelite community. You're like a leader of the community. You have power. You have control. You're actually part of the priestly sort of family. What's your problem? Stop giving me all these accusations and stop causing all this dissent. Because Korach is a good speaker, had a little charisma, a little charm to him. So we got a merry band together to rebel against Moses. So Moses wants to diffuse this, says, hey, you know what? Let's have a contest. We'll both sort of offer sacrifices, and whichever team God is favoring, God will accept their sacrifice, and then we'll know who's meant to lead. Okay, we all agree. And so when this happens, before it even starts, poor Korach, the earth opens up and swallows him and all of his followers. So Moses sort of gets the win. You don't charge the throne unless you're going to win. And you gotta hit your target. So Korach and his band are, of course, defeated, and then Moses continues leading the people. And the rabbis point to this story because if you actually just read the story, very plain text, plain sense, you can understand sort of Korach's point. Korach saying, Moses, well, you're this one leader, this one ruler. Maybe it's better to have, other people sort of rule, other people sort of be in charge as well, sort of spread the power around. And in this case, the rabbis say, well, it might seem that what Korach is looking for was like democracy, was like some sort of equality, in the wilderness. But if you really read the text closely, you see it's not what it's about. Korach doesn't want everyone to be equal. He just wants the power for himself. He wants to be elevated. He wants to be the one who's in charge. He wants all the glory, right? And it's for that reason that he is punished in this very unusual way that we don't see in the rest of the Torah. Usually people die of different things, but the earth doesn't just, swallow you up. It's a very dramatic display. He's saying, no, this is not right. We're not doing this. Moses is God's appointed, and Moses is the one who's going to lead the people, and we can't have all this dissension, all of this divisiveness. So the rabbis look at this, and they call it, there's a word in Hebrew, which you might actually know in the Yiddish, but in the Hebrew it's machloket. Has anyone heard of machlokes before? That's the sort of the Yiddish. Machloket is the Hebrew. It means debate. It means like an argument. It means a fight. And machloket, by its very nature, is not negative. It's only negative when the people who are arguing in a hateful manner, who are arguing in a divisive manner, who are arguing to not, for the sake of the greater good, but arguing sort of just to argue and arguing to fight and to lower somebody else, to debase somebody else, to dehumanize someone else. That's called a machloket that is not for the sake of heaven. And the rabbis say, well, look, we have heard of Hillel and Shammai before. Hillel and Shammai are these two ancient sages, and they always fought. They always had, it was almost like pre-rabbinic. These were sages, and they had their own houses, their own followings. They had, just disciples, and Hillel and Shammai would always argue with each other about the Torah, about the law. Shammai would say, oh, this is the way it should be, and Hillel would say, not so much. It should be my way, and they'd always argue, and then in the course of discussion, Hillel almost always wins. Hillel has a very high percentage of winning, like 99% of the time Hillel is victorious. So there's one very famous time where they're arguing with each other back and forth. It should be this way, it should be this way, and blah, 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 and it keeps going. And all of a sudden they hear a voice from the heavens, and the voice says, Elu ve'elu, these and these, the words of Hillel and the words of Shammai, are both words of Torah. They're both godly words. They're both good words, correct words. But the law follows Hillel. And the reason why the law follows Hillel, the voice goes, is because that whenever Hillel would make his argument or make his points, he would always cite Shammai first. He would always say, well, this is what Shammai says. These are the good points to it. This is why, it could be right. He would make an effort to teach Shammai's point of view before coming in with his own. And because he showed respect, because he showed kavod towards Shammai and his students, that's why the law follows Hillel and not Shammai. Shammai was known to be a bit more impatient and a bit more impulsive. And to me, I think about that today, about machloket, about divisiveness and debate. Here we are, not July 4th yet, but we're celebrating our sort of Independence Day soon, and there's so much divisiveness and so much debate and so much anger in our country, so much sort of vying and fighting and arguing for power. And it just makes me think about machloket. It makes me think about that, is it for the sake of heaven or for the sake of ourselves? Korach was for the sake of himself. He was going to argue to get power and money and prestige, all for himself. And it wasn't meant to help the rest of the people. Are those the way our arguments are going today? Are our arguments for the sake of heaven or for the sake of ourselves? And I just think about this as we see so much disharmony and so many things that are just very stressful, very frustrating, a lot of anger driving, I think, a lot of our debates. And wouldn't it be so much nicer if we had a world in which we can argue peacefully and we can argue and debate? Because again, argument isn't a bad thing. We have passionate people with different opinions, that's allowed. But can we talk to each other? Can we sit in a room and hear opposing points of view and think on them a little bit? Might not agree with them, but can we think on them a little bit, reflect, try to understand another perspective, even before we share our own? Can we seek to understand? And I think that's sort of what's missing right now, is that sense of understanding. We're fighting, we're arguing, but we aren't getting anywhere, I think, for the sake of the betterment of society, both in terms of, I'm not even talking about only national politics, but I think even personally we're seeing a lot of that. We're just seeing interpersonal, people just arguing and fighting and anger and divisiveness, and we need to take a step back. We have to take that breath and say, can we have these discussions, can we have these debates on things where we can disagree, but still get coffee later? Still be friends, still find a way to maintain that connection. Because I think those arguments are the ones that are for the sake of heaven, that eventually we better each other, when we have these debates. And we can say, okay, well, I might not agree with you, but I understand you a little bit more. I understand your perspective. And I think that, to me, creates so much more tolerance, so much more inclusiveness. Might not be on the same page, but at least we're in the same book. And I think that, to me, is what's important, is try to find that way of coming together as a society, as a nation, as we celebrate our independence, try to focus on the good, the good of our country, the things that our country stands for, the ideals in its highest days and our highest visions, I should say, that it stands for and represents, and find a way maybe somehow through civil argument, civil debate, maybe get back to a better place for our nation. That is my prayer for this Independence Day, that we find our way back to unity once again. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. We're going to continue with our Independence Day ritual. We have here a little packet, hopefully you grabbed outside, that we're going to sing a few songs, do a couple prayers to honor America. And so if you look on page 2, you'll see This Land is Your Land, an oldie and a goodie.
Okay, good. Got my key. Oh, can you hear me?
Hold on.
This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. As I went walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me that endless skyway. I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me. I roamed and rambled, and I followed my footsteps to the sparkling sands of her diamond deserts. And all around me, a voice was sounding, This land was made for you. And let's hear everybody. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Islands, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me.
This is good.
Yes.
But this works,
Oh.
or that works, so whichever you prefer. On page 3, let's read together this prayer for our country. Our God and God of our ancestors, the one who inspires salvation, source of life and power, may you bless and protect the leaders of our nation and all those who exercise authority in keeping with our laws. May the Holy One of Blessing bring strength to all who work in our communities on behalf of those who need our support, strengthening them both in body and in spirit, and rewarding their efforts with success. May those in leadership act in accordance with the rabbinic insight that the truly strong are those who raise up the fallen, the truly honored are those who honor caregivers, and the truly wise are those who acknowledge the vital work of all our teachers. We turn to our leaders for inspiration and hope, direction and guidance. May they lead us in paths of peace, build communal cohesion through both word and deed, and bring about the blessing we pray for at the conclusion of each prayer service. May the one who brings peace on high, keeping fire and water in a delicate balance, bring peace and growing safety and prosperity to our world below. And let us say, Amen. On page 4, we have My Country, 'Tis of Thee.
My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of this I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, of every mountainside, let freedom ring.
We'll continue on page 4 with a modern-day psalm written by liturgical poet Alden Solovey, who has written a collection of psalms that speak about our moral imperative, as the Jewish community, to help work for Tikkun Olam, to create a better world, and to sort of help make the world and our country, very specifically, a better place. So we can read together. A psalm of protest for guitar and drum. O freedom, O justice, that tyrants can't deny. O freedom, O justice, this is our rally cry. Let all who love this country, let all who love this land, stand up and shout with power, injustice will not stand. Be strong against hatred, be strong against deceit. Organize to fight the cause and never dare retreat. On the next page, come sisters now, come brothers, come join, come heed this call, and we will fight together for freedom one and all. O freedom, O justice, that tyrants can't deny. O freedom, O justice, this is our rally cry. Let's all rise together for America the Beautiful.
Oh, sorry, I have the wrong key. It's my fault. Oh, beautiful, for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesty, above the
Yay, very nice. Look at-
Well, thank me for that, getting the key right.
Yes. We're going to remain standing. We're going to conclude with one more patriotic song at the end of the service. But right now, we're going to continue in our prayer books on 586 as I invite the Tanner family to come forward to open up the ark. We have Pete and Kara and Lily and Rose all here to open the ark. 586. Take our seats. We're on page 594, 594, with a reflection before the Kaddish. It is a fearful thing to love what death can touch, a fearful thing to love, hope, dream to be and oh to lose. A thing for fools this, and a holy thing to love. For your life has lived in me, your laugh once lifted me, your word was gift to me. To remember this brings a painful joy. 'Tis a human thing, love, a holy thing, to love what death has touched. Congregation was sad to announce the passing of Liesl Schick, longtime member of our TBI family. She's survived by her children, Ken, Nancy, Rob, and Kathy, partners, Cindy, Will, Barbara, and Evan. And we also send our condolences to her 12 grandchildren and 6 great-grandchildren. The funeral, if you saw in your email, will be held on July 17th on Sunday morning. There's going to be a private interment, but then there's going to be a service here at TBI at 11 o'clock. And it'll be a time for sharing memories with the family, and there'll be a light lunch afterwards. We're also in the Shloshim period for the memory of Mary John Resch, who survived by her daughters Margaret and Mary Alice. And Margaret's spouse is Jonathan, and Mary's partner is Steve. Grandchildren Sarah Ellis and Harper Morgan, and Jackson Lloyd. We're also thinking of those who passed away during this last year. Lily Singer, Shelley Foreman, Myron Polfrey, Robert Sheldon, Beatty Rosenbaum Madnick, Shirley Botkin, Jack Moss, Linda Fine, Sid Bolin, Joan Keller, Leo Weintraub, Nina Stegg, Janet White, Phyllis Kraus, Phyllis Allman, Sheila Buckwalter, Bob Mansfeld, Albert Gart, Barry Dabowski, Ann Blumenkrantz, Shirley Matler, and Richard Clausen. Is anyone else observing? We have our yurt sites this week. Mark Bergman, Jules W. Bragan, Fanny Francis Chazen, Lenore Denenberg, Cecil Esserig, Cecile Esserig, Marvin Fine, George Fishman, Rachel Friedman, Julius Gassenheimer, Marcia Gold, Goldie Goldstein, Dr. Eleanor Gordon, Emmanuel B. Katz, Shirley Kleinman, Evelyn Kogan, Simon Kornbilt, Estelle G. Coronis, Jack Landris, Jack Bernard Leibowitz, Mayor Margolis, Bernard Marks, Yetta Mendelson, Bunny Merrill, Marcel Montrose, Mary Bagaglini Pizzuti, Anthony Angelo Pizzuti, Sonia Dolan Rothschild, Irving Isaac Salzman, Abraham Sefakar, Marjorie Seiler, Albert Schaefer, Stella C. Stern, Rady K. Wallach, and Leonard M. Yeager. Is there anyone else observing a yurt site, saying Kaddish for any reason? Let's rise together on page 598. Kaddish Yatom, the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabah be'alma divra cherutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael b'agala v'izman kariv v'imru amen yehei shemei rabah mevarach le'olam olamei olmaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh V'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shemei dekudisha barichu, ve'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush v'chata v'nechemata, da'miran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shloma rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, Huya se shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to Israel, and all of the world. As together we say, amen. Please be seated. It's now my pleasure to invite up one of our temple co-presidents, Sandy Sunter, for a few synagogue announcements.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Thank you for a wonderful service tonight, Rabbi. Thank you so much for your words. And Beth, awesome. I like the. Thank you, Eve, as well. Thank you so much for the music. It makes such a difference. And thank you all for being in here and participating. It was so awesome to feel the vibrations of everybody in here tonight. It's just been wonderful. Thank you all so much. I don't know who did streaming, but thank you. Did you stream? Pete stream? Pete, thank you for Pete. And hello, everyone at home. I also want to thank tonight, just because today's been one of the days where we had lots to do, and even though they're not in a room, I wanted to make sure that we thank our staff here at the temple. Angela, of course, helped get so much done today, and Pete is working. And also today, Manny was covering for Al and helped so much in getting us set up for our dinner and everything tonight. And of course, Sonia. And Al is actually taking the day off to spend a birthday celebration with his wife, but I always want to remember and thank them all for all that they do for us every single day. Just a few reminders. We've got a great, we have the Rays game coming up, and that's on Sunday, July the 17th. That first pitch is going to be at like 1:40. It's $40 a person, and includes a hat. We have tickets near the third base, and tickets usually are $70, so for $40. So please go on your e-blast, get the information, and make your reservations if you've not done so. Saturday, the 23rd of July, a family Havdalah service on the beach. For those of you who've been, it's always a beautiful event. It's at Sand Key Beach, Bring your chairs, bring a picnic dinner, enjoy time, just time together like we did this evening, and then followed by our Havdalah service. Just a reminder also, and we are going to be having so many different things going. Please make sure you're getting if you're not getting the e-blast, please call us in the office to make sure you are getting them so that you know what is going on. And always remember, if you have questions or concerns, don't ever hesitate to call and speak with one of us, Paul, myself, Rabbi, Angela, Polly, Denise, anyone who can help you. We'd rather you speak up and share your thoughts with us than to carry them around. So we are here and want to be there for you. So please look at your e-blast and make sure that you know what is going on. And then I just wanted to share some words that I just sort of tonight, just listening to what Rabbi was talking about. Then I grasped the meaning of the greatest secret that human poetry and human thought and belief have to impart. The salvation of man is through love and in love. Viktor Frankl. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Sandy. Yeah, we have to get those tickets for those Rays games going because it's coming up soon. It's going to be a lot of fun, a day at the ball game. It should be a lot of fun. Hot dogs are on me. Not really, no. But we can pretend. But it'll be nice. One other just quick announcement. I know some of you already know this already, but on Sunday evening I'll be leaving for Israel. I'm going to be doing a program there for about 10 days. I will return the third week of July. I'll leave you in Beth's capable hands for services. The office will be open, and in case of some kind of pastoral emergency, the other rabbis in Pinellas County, a couple will be covering to be helping out. Hopefully, God forbid, we won't need it, but that is around as well. Okay, with all of that said, let's do God Bless America first. So let's turn to the last page of our handout, and let's rise together, and then we'll do Motzi.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. From the mountains to the prairie, to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Very nice. Now we're going to do a little Motzi, and then our oneg today is in the APR, as the social hall, as you might have noticed, is a bit crowded. So APR for the oneg.
Oh, it's beautiful. All right, everybody. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lachem min haaretz. Amen.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I loved, of course, love the Devar. I love that.
I made it up on my feet
I
today.
know, you're so good at that.
I wasn't going to give it to Devar, but I thought I could
I know, it's so good. I love that.
Yeah.